So you're using Wix and you want to allow your users to upload data to a CMS collection using a CSV. Welcome back to the Wix Wiz. I'm Eitan, and today we are going to be coding a system just like I described. So we're going to have a button to select a file and then upload it. And the CSV that the user upload will then appear inside of the CMS. So this is all data that has been uploaded from a CSV file. So if you want to learn how to do all that and more, let's get started. Before we get started, let me start off with some disclaimers. So this is going to be a code along style tutorial, which means that we have a shared goal. I have a general idea for how to get there, but this isn't something that I've done in practice before. So there's going to be experimentation, there's going to be debugging, there's going to be kind of thinking out loud throughout the tutorial. If I posted this on YouTube and you're watching it now, then you can rest assured that at the end we do get to something worthwhile. So it's not that this tutorial will end with, oh, we can't do this. But until we get there, there may be some ups and downs. So please, buckle your seatbelt and get ready for the journey. We're developing this in Wix Studio. Everything that we're going to be doing today, I'm pretty sure will also be able to be done inside of Wix Classic. Some things might be in slightly different locations, but in terms of the elements that we're using and the APIs, pretty much everything should be possible inside of Wix Classic. With that aside, let's talk about what we are trying to do. So we want to allow a user to upload a CSV file and add the data from that file to a Wix collection. I'm saying add, but this could probably equally also be either replace data in the collection or even create a completely new collection with that data. So that's what we're trying to achieve. Let me highlight what we're not trying to do. So we're not trying to allow a site owner or admin to import data from a CSV because that is super easy. Let me just show you how to do that. If you are the site owner, you can just go into your collections, you can create a collection, and you can go ahead and import the data from a CSV, and that will create a collection based on a CSV that you have. Small tip while we're talking about it, if you are importing data from a CSV, I would recommend not starting with this import from CSV because then your collection will have a weird name like import 2569, but instead go ahead and start from scratch. And then after you created the collection, you'll still have the option to import data into the existing collection with CSV, and that will keep your naming conventions a lot better until Wix realizes that that's something they need to fix. So that is what we're not trying to do. We're not allowing admins to upload data to collections, but rather we are trying to allow users to upload a CSV via the website and have that data enter a Wix collection. First step, I went ahead and created a collection called mock data, and I created 3 fields: name, email, and age. Okay, basically this is just some random data collection that we're going to use for testing. In addition to that, I created a CSV file or an Excel file with the data that we want to allow the user to upload. So here you can see I have the same fields as we have inside of the collection. So that's name, email, and age. And we have just like 10 lines here of mock data. So this is the data that I, as a user, want to be able to upload and get into this collection. So where we're going to start, I want to approach this using an upload button. I'll talk a little bit about what the advantages and disadvantages of an upload button might be, but let me first just look for that upload button. So here we have upload buttons, and it's under inputs over here. Let me just find the upload button. For some reason, it didn't take me there, and here. Okay, so I'm just going to grab one of these upload buttons, and this is the button that I want to use to allow users to upload the file to Wix. This is the advantage of this is that it makes it really easy to upload a file to Wix. The other way we'd have to do it is by creating like a custom element with upload and then using some Wix APIs for uploading, etc. The disadvantage is that once the file is uploaded, we're going to have to handle the uploading of the CSV data to the CMS partially from the front end. Okay, so essentially what's going to happen here, or at least kind of my prediction, just running through the code permutations in my head, is that once we upload the file here via this upload button, we're going to get a URL, and then we're going to have to take that URL in from the front end and send it to a backend function, which will then handle the uploading to the CMS. So the uploading to the CMS itself still happens in the backend, so that's good and protected and whatever. But there is just kind of like this intermediary front end action that's necessary in order to make the whole flow work. Whereas ideally, in an ideal world, I would want to create a scenario where once the user uploads something, everything is handled from there on in the backend. So they upload, so both the uploading to Wix and the conversion to kind of to the CMS data and uploading it would all happen in the backend without an additional, it's not even a user interaction, but kind of like an additional few lines of code on the front end. But I still think that this approach that I'm going to be taking, at least initially, if it works, is probably better for most people and doesn't really have any kind of security vulnerability. So I think it will go that way. So we're going to have this upload button over here. If you haven't done so yet, this would be a good time to turn on code mode, dev mode. It's right over here inside of Studio. If you're in Wix Classic, it's going to be up here on top. So we have this upload button now, and this upload button has some APIs associated with it. So essentially, I'm just going to rename this over here. So let's call this our CSV upload button. And let me just take a peek at the settings because I want to make sure. So instead of supported file type image, we're going to want to change it to document because CSV is a type of document. We're going to allow one file for now. And then what we can do here is, let's say inside of our onReady, just get rid of all the code that we have there. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to tap into one of the event listeners for this CSV upload button. So I'm going to say CSV upload button dot on. Sorry, not on, but instead we're going to want to do upload files. Let me show you in the documentation what I'm talking about. So here we have this API, which uploads the files that the visitor has chosen. So essentially, they have an example here. So it's select the button and then upload files, and there's a promise where you get the files back. The thing is that we want to make sure that they actually have uploaded files. They've actually like selected files to upload. So the way, let me just show you, okay. The way this works, I'm just going to publish this site to show you what's going on here. I'll call this site, let's say CSV upload. Awesome. So let's go ahead and check out the published site. Sorry, I had to skip over there because I realized that all my files were visible and there are some sensitive things there. So basically, once you click the upload button, it'll give you kind of your file directory, and you can choose a file to upload. And then once it's uploaded, it'll display the name of the file that you uploaded up here. But this doesn't actually upload it to Wix just yet. This is just selecting the files for uploading. And then if this upload button was part of a custom form, let's say, and you had a submit button, then clicking that submit button would initiate the upload process, assuming this upload button was linked to a certain field in a collection. But since we're doing like a fully custom flow here, and we're using this just to really upload files to Wix and not do anything with it in terms of having it as part of a custom form, we're going to need another button that will actually initiate the upload. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add another button. This is just going to be a regular button. So I'll make it a different color. So it's like So this button is actually going to be our upload button. And so let's call this, I'm going to do some renaming here. So this is going to be our CSV upload button. Or let's call this finalize upload button. And this will be our, this will call CSV, let's call this file selection button. Okay, because that's what this really does. And I can change this here as well to say, let's say, select a file, just so it's like a little more clear to the user. So this button is going to be for actually selecting the file, and this button here is going to be for finalizing the upload. So what we're going to want to do here is switch things out a little bit. So I'm going to create a function here, async function, upload files, or upload file. And what was going to happen here is that we're going to have const uploaded files equals to await, and I'm going to select the file selection button, which is technically our Wix upload button, and we're going to say dot upload files. And this function I'm going to set as the callback function for the on-click of our other button. So let me get rid of this. And here, what we're going to do is we're going to select the upload button. So this is just the regular button. What did I call it? Finalize upload. Might want to change that name later on. Finalize upload button dot on click, and then here we're going to upload file. Okay, so when we click on the button on the bottom, it will upload this file. We may also want to put in like certain checks to make sure that there are actually files that are selected before we try uploading, so we don't throw errors and stuff like that. But that's kind of like, that's garnish. That's not main functionality. So I'm going to wait with that. And once we have the uploaded files, let's just take a look here at the docs. So I think that it's going to be an array. It's going to be an array, but because technically you can upload more than one file at a time. Since we're only uploading one file at a time, I'm just going to get the first item in the array, and I'm going to want to get this. I'm going to want to get this file URL. I'm going to want to get this file URL. So let's go ahead back over here, and I'm going to say const file URL equals to uploaded files 0. Okay, so I'm just kind of extracting the file URL. And then here, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to send the file URL to the backend. Okay, so this is the little part that I mentioned that's like kind of happening in the front end. So basically it means that like, I guess technically, like you can have a scenario where someone will have uploaded the file, but it won't, like, and then for some reason the front end will close and it'll terminate. It would have to happen very fast, but yeah, it introduces a certain weakness to the system that's not so great, but it's not so bad either. Okay, so we're gonna head over to the backend now. Let's go over here, public and backend, and we're gonna go and add a web module, and let's call this CSV handler. And what we're going to want to do here is we're going to have a web method. And this web method is going to take a file URL. So instead of factor1, factor2, we're going to have a file URL here. And what it's going to do inside, let's also change the name because it's not going to be multiply. It'll be, let's say, process CSV. And what we're going to do with this file URL is first we're going to need to get a public URL. So at the moment, when Wix initially uploads the file and gives us a file URL, it gives us a kind of like an internal Wix URL. So if you were to take this URL and put it as, let's say, the source of an image element, then that would work inside of Wix. But if I take this URL and I post it in my browser, we're never going to get it. Like, it's not going to find it because it's an internal URL. So what we need to do is we need to look for the media manager. And here we're going to need to find a way to get the download URL. So media manager, and this is media manager is like a little bit of a bleep show. I don't want to curse on my channel because it's, I want to keep it, professional. But with the Wix Media, so we have Wix Media backend and Wix Media v2, and there's a lot of overlap, and I never know which one to really use. So I'm just going to start with Wix Media backend. And what I want to do is I want to get a download URL. Let me make sure this is the API that I want. Yeah. So basically what this API does is it takes the internal Wix file URL and then it returns like a public URL that can be used for downloading the file. And what I hope that I'll be able to do is then use like a regular fetch request, like a GET request for that download file to get the actual data of the CSV, which will just be plain text. And then we can parse that and then upload it. So that's the general, sorry, I didn't make that more clear in the beginning. That's the general chain of thought, what we're trying to do here. So let's use this get download URL API. So I'm just going to use this import that we have over here. And I'm going to paste that over here. Okay, so I just pasted the import over there. And what we're going to do is we're going to say const, let's see what it returns. Get download URL. It'll return a string. So it should return just the URL. So let's go over here and we're going to make this an asynchronous function. And we'll say const download URL equals to await media manager dot get download URL. And what we're going to need to do is am I passing in an object here or am I passing in one by one? I think one by one. Yeah, they say just here file URL. Okay, so I'll do it just like they did it. Get download URL, and here I'll put in the file URL. Now, once we have this download URL, so I'm going to import fetch over here. Wix fetch, and I'm starting to get to that point where I'm like slightly uncomfortable because I haven't really tested anything yet. So it just means that I'll have to deal with a lot of bugs at once potentially instead of dealing with them one by one. But here, let's say, okay, so we have fetch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say const response equals to await fetch. And then I'm just going to put in the download URL. Yeah, it seems a bit plain, but I think, yeah. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll do console.log response. And I'm trying to think, it's a GET request, so we'll have a body. I don't remember. GET request, yeah, it could have a body. It could definitely have a body, but is that how it will return what comes back from the download URL? Because it's just going to be a plain data, so it'll be like buffer. What I'll do is I'll say const file data equals to response dot text. And that should be a promise. So I'll do await like that. I think that should work. And then what we'll do is we'll do console.log file data. So this will be the response. Let me go over here and do response. And here I'll do file data. And let's publish this and start running some tests. So I'm going to go over to the live site. First, let me open up my developer logs. So developer tools, Wix logs in the dashboard. You can also go through the dashboard. And I'll just make sure that we're monitoring. Okay, so we have our logs open. So here's hopefully where we'll see the response and whatnot from the GET request. And should I add in a few more logs? Yeah, let's add in a few more logs for educational purposes. So here, for file you are, oh, I'm happy I decided to add in these logs because otherwise I would have totally realized that, yeah, that I didn't even connect the front end and back end. So awesome. So let's add in here console.log file URL. And let's import our function from the backend. So import process CSV from backend slash CSV handler dot web. I'm just going to make sure that I got the function name right. Yeah. It might be a typo, but at least it's the same typo. Same spelling mistake in both places. And then here what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's say, return await process CSV and file URL. Awesome. So now everything is in place. So I'm going to publish again. And we have our logs open. So I'm going to refresh here on the front end. So I have selected my file here, the sample data.csv, and I'm going to hit the upload button. And something's happening, so that's good. And let's go to the console here. So we got a file URL, and just to show you, so like if I click on this, like it doesn't go anywhere. Like even if I take this whole thing here with the Wix, like it's not a URL that can be used publicly. So that's what we got back here. Let's take out our logs here. Awesome. Okay, wow. So here in the backend, so this is our response from the GET request. And headers, etc. La la la. And this is the data, so it's like binary data. But when we use the dot text, essentially we got the data as CSV. Okay, so here this we have as plain text now. So now it should be pretty straightforward for us just to process this data and essentially, oh, file date, what's that? I don't know why there's a file date in there. That could potentially be a problem. I don't know why there's a file date there, but essentially we need to just process this, and then we understand that these are the fields, and this is the data, and then we can upload this all to the CMS. The first thing that we need to do now is we need to parse the CSV, because it's written just as like lines of text with commas splitting it. So what we need to do is we need to parse that CSV into JSON. So essentially we want to take the headers and have each of the headers be essentially corresponding to a field and have it be an array with objects where we have field ID value, field ID value. So what I did is initially I just used ChatGPT to create this CSV to JSON function, okay, that we have over here. I'm not sure it's 100% ready for us to use yet, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to run some tests. So before we do that, we need to deal with the issue that we had with the file data. Oh, okay. That's probably why this happened. Okay, so I just came to a realization because I had done another test here. I'm so happy you guys are here. So I did another test here, and it says, you can see here, like I did a test in the backend with a different CSV, so it says file date and then the contents of the file. What I just realized now looking at the code is that that is actually a typo of mine where I wrote file date here instead of file data, so it's just part of the console log. It's not part of the data itself. If I was to log just the data, it would be just the CSV. The reason it said file date in the beginning, and it kind of threw me off because file date seemed like something that might actually be like attached to some kind of metadata to a CSV. So that's what that was. I'm so happy we worked that out. So now that we did that, we can test this CSV to JSON function. So what I'll do is I will say const formatted data, and I'll say that equals to CSV to JSON, and I'll put in the file data. And then here what I'll do is I'll return the file data. So I'll return the formatted data. Okay, so let's see what that does for us. So I already have kind of the back end here set up with a Wix file URL. So the kind of URL that we'd be sending from the front end from some mock data that I uploaded before, which you can see here, kind of the data as in plain CSV over here. So this is essentially what I'm going to be running a test with. So I'm just going to go ahead and click run. And let's go way back up. This is actually a much bigger CSV file. Yeah, I should probably do the testing with the small, nice, dandy CSV file that I built. But let's just take a look here. Yeah, awesome. Okay, great. So this essentially, you can see here what it did is it took the CSV and it turned it into an array with all of, so essentially here, one of the headers is the name of the field, and the value is the actual value from the row. Okay, and it just kind of repeats like that. Let me just double check this function. So I don't see here, for example, at any point that it does, like, let's say, to lowercase. So that means that we're going to need to make sure that in the file that we're uploading, the headers are written exactly like the fields in Wix. And when I say the fields, I don't mean inside the CMS collection itself, but the field IDs. So if we go over here and look at databases and look here at the mock data, so you'll see here it's lowercase name, lowercase email, lowercase age. So we're going to need to make sure that the CSV headers match that exactly. And once that's the case, we should be able to upload a CSV and have it formatted as JSON. Once we do that, the last step will be just to upload it to the CMS. So what we're going to do is we're going to import Wix data. And then over here, after we get back the formatted data, instead of just returning it, what we'll do is we'll say const uploaded data equals to await Wix data dot insert. So here what I'm doing is I'm using insert. That means I'm inserting these as new items. We could discuss later what different actions we might need to take here depending on what you want to actually happen when somebody uploads a CSV. But for now, I'm going to assume that we're adding that data to the existing data in the collection. So I'm doing an insert here. And then we need the collection ID. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that from over here. That's mock data. I'm going to go ahead and mock this, put this over here. And then all we need to do is pass in our formatted data. Just like that. I'm also going to add in a suppress off, just in case that we have some kind of restriction on the permissions of our collection in terms of who can upload data to the collection. After that, I'll just return here the uploaded data. And then even on our front end, if we want, we can, for example, instead of returning await process CSV, we can over here say const uploaded data equals to await process CSV, and we can console.log uploaded data and uploaded data. And then we could already have like an indication here in the front end if it was successful or not. Let me just double check here. Yeah, we're returning uploaded data. I'm going to get rid of this because we don't really need these logs in here anymore because we know that's working. Yeah, and I think we're ready for a test. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to edit my CSV file to make sure that the headers align with the fields. And we're ready for at least I'm not going to say final because we might play around a bit after, even if this is successful, but a final initial testing of what we built. Okay, so I've published the site with the changes and I'm here on the live site. I've uploaded the sample, or at least selected the file with the lowercase headers. And let's go ahead and give it a spin. So I'm going to upload it over here. And let's see, so we got the file URL, and okay, so we got a little bit of an error here. Let's see what might have happened. Failed to save object. Why did it fail to save? Items must be JavaScript objects. Okay. So I think I know what the problem is. So we did here CSV to JSON, but we need not JSON, but we need a JavaScript object. So what I'll do here is I will say formatted data. So I'll say here JSON dot parse right over here, formatted data. Usually it would be better to do this like separately because this can sometimes throw an error if the data isn't formatted correctly. But I think that should do the trick. What we could do is, if we want to do, no, I think that should be fine. So I'm going to publish and I'm going to try this one more time. Okay, published, back here on the live site, ready to go. I'm going to hit upload. Let's see what happens this time. So we get file URL and we get another error. No. Let's see what the error is. Okay, unexpected token in JSON at position 1. Okay. So I think the problem might be is that it gave us like an array of JSON as opposed to JSON, like a JSON array of JSON. I don't know if I'm being clear on that. But let me just, okay, let's go here. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see if we could just do a way to make it JavaScript instead of JSON. Let me add here, so I'm going to add here console.log formatted data. And I'm going to try running this on the back end. So I'm going to grab the file. I'll grab the file URL from here, from the logs. So this file URL for testing. So I grab that, and let's go here, process CSV, but I'm going to clear this and I'm going to replace this URL with the one I just copied. So I'm going to go and put this right over here, and let's go ahead and hit run. It's just easier sometimes to test in the back end instead of publishing and going to the front end. So formatted data, an array. It's interesting because this looks just like JavaScript. Interesting. Ah, 1 second. Let me just double check. Let me get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this JSON parse for a second. I just want to see what the error message was exactly. Because I think I know what the problem is, but which is interesting because it's not what it said in the error. But let me just double check 1 second. I'm going to run this one more time. Item must be JavaScript objects. Okay. I see what happened here. What I think happened is that I misinterpreted this. So item must be JavaScript objects. I assumed it meant JavaScript versus JSON. What the highlight here is the objects. It must be JavaScript objects. Because what I'm trying to do here, this is a pretty rookie mistake. I'm using a Wix data insert, which is meant for just inserting one item. But I passed in an array of formatted data. So what I should be using here is bulk insert, which should be able to take an array of data that we're inserting. So I think that that is my mistake. Let's try this in the back end. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit run. There we go. Formatted data and returned with inserted item IDs. So we have 10 new items that were inserted into the collection. And if we go over here into the collection, then hopefully we'll see 10 items. There we go. Okay, so we see 10 items. There's a bit of a formatting issue here with the numbers. I'm guessing that that might have to do with how we like format the CSV to JSON, because the CSV to JSON probably just assumes everything is text. So if we go over here and we take a look at the formatted data, then yeah, you can see here like the age is in quotation marks, which means it's a string instead of a number. So here we might need to, refine um, our parsing algorithm, which changes from CSV to the format that we're uploading, and add like specific conditions for how to handle different data types and stuff like that. That's a bit above the pay grade, I think, of this tutorial, but it's not that it's too complicated. I just don't. It's very specific, and there's different permutations of what we could do. So I prefer just highlight the issue and give that back to you if that's something that you need done. Um, but that's awesome. So that's working. We could even go and try on the live site. So I'm going to go ahead and publish and head to the live site and show you the entire flow from end to end. Here I am on the live site ready to try again. So I'm going to go ahead and hit upload. And let's see, we got a file URL and we got the uploaded data. Okay, so we have 10 inserted items. And if we go back to the editor, then we can go to collections, mock data, and now we should have 20 items in the collection. Okay, so again, we said that we're adding in the data that the person uploads. Let's talk a little bit about different things that we can do now after we have this basic infrastructure in place. So let's say the scenario is that you don't want to add the data, but you want to replace the data. In order to do that, we'd need to do one of two things. Either we would need to clear out the entire collection and then upload the new data. So do like a kind of a bulk remove, a bulk remove of all the data and then insert the new data. Another option would be that if inside the CSV file you have the IDs, the Wix IDs, then instead of doing a bulk insert, what you could do is you could do a bulk save. Let me just make sure that that's true. Let's see, bulk save. Okay, so if you do bulk save and your formatted data includes like your CSV includes the Wix IDs, so that would typically happen if you downloaded the CSV originally from the Wix collection and you have those IDs in there, and then somebody edits them and uploads them again or something along those lines. Then you can use bulk save, and what that will do is it will overwrite each individual item based on ID with the data that you upload in the CSV. Note that it'll overwrite the items completely, so it's not just going to like update fields that you've changed, but it will do a complete overwrite. So those are the two directions that you can go if you want to create an experience where the user replaces data instead of adds data like I just demonstrated. Another option would be to you could also create a new collection completely. So we have here Wix data. That's something I actually do kind of want to play around with a little bit. Let me find Wix data. Be under D, Wix data v2. So this actually allows us to create collections. So here we have create data collection. So in order to create a data collection, so here we would have display field, display name, fields, permissions. Let's see, fields. Oh, this would be display field and display name for the collection itself. And these would be the fields for the actual collection. Yeah, so we could create a collection and then upload the data. The advantage of this would be that there wouldn't be any kind of restriction as to the headers, because we could just take the headers as they are and use that in order to create the actual fields that will be in the collection. And then like there will definitely be a match. So there's no like need to make certain adjustments to the CSV to match an existing collection. The disadvantage is that it's going to create a new collection, and you have a limited amount of collections in Wix, and also handling that collection might be a little challenging because it's a new, like, how do you know what the idea of that collection is going to be inside of the data, etc. So there are ups and downs to this, but this is another potential way that you can go. Let me know in the comments if that's something that interests you to know more about. If it is, then we could possibly explore like the Wix Data V2, but make sure when you're asking like to tell me more about your project and why you need it, just so we can like know that that's something that has like a real use case, and why we need to use this API versus another API. So that you can all put in the comments below. And I think we're going to wrap up here. Let me try and think if there's anything else. I mean, we could possibly, like, one UI addition that I thought would be possibly cool, we can explore, is to add in like a table that actually shows the data that they uploaded. So like, for example, let's see how complicated this is. If I see it's taking too long, I'm going to wrap up. Let's see, table. So we could put in a table, and yeah, these are all, let's just take this one and I'll add it to the stack here. And this we could actually probably also do with like no code. So we could do manage table. We can connect this using a data set to our mock data. And then, yeah, for some reason, the first time you connect a table to a data set, it doesn't work. I don't know why. There we go. So here we could see all our data. And then we might need to refresh though. Let me just take a look here at the data set settings. So this will be our mock, oops, rename, mock data set. And then here in the code, so what we might want to do is that after we uploaded the data, so we would select our mock data dataset dot refresh, so that we could see all the new data that's there. Should we try that? Yeah, let's try it. So what I'll do is I'll get rid of all the data that we currently have in the collection, just so we have like a fresh view on things. And I'm going to publish the site with these changes. Publish the site, and we'll head to the live site and see what this experience looks like. Okay, so we're published and we're back on the live site. I've uploaded, or at least selected, the sample data with the lowercase here. And you can see here that the table is here in the UI. It's empty though, because I've deleted all the items from the collection. So let's go ahead and upload. And what I'm hoping is that once it uploads, it'll display the items that were uploaded here, yeah, in the table. Okay, so that happened as expected. Yeah, you could also maybe possibly even do like an intermediary step where the data is displayed before they confirm that they actually want to upload it to the collection, which could be pretty cool and also give us like a little bit of self-validation for that intermediary front end step that we added in. So like there's actually a reason for it instead of just being kind of lazy in terms of using the upload button. But yeah, I think this is a good place to wrap up. I mean, I can keep on going for an hour just playing with different things. If you something that you think I missed or you have another question, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. I'm also curious to hear if you enjoyed this style of video, which is more like the stuff that I did earlier on the channel, but a little different than the stuff that I've been doing recently. I personally enjoy making these kinds of videos a lot, so it would be nice to hear that you enjoy watching them. But tell me the truth. If you like the video, just also give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more Wix tutorials every week, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. This tutorial may be over, but that doesn't mean that your journey has to end here. YouTube will have some recommendations up above in a moment for more videos, but don't get too distracted because my eyes are over here, and on the WixWiz website we have a lot more resources for you to continue learning or get support for your business or project. We've got a blog, beginner courses, and a community forum where you can vent about Velo or post some tough questions like, why does my header have a mind of its own? On the website, you can also find my personal calendar to schedule a one-on-one and details about getting ongoing assistance from our team of Wix experts. I'll catch you later, and don't forget that every big feature was once a small bug.